vote, and all the while lobbyists from the pharmaceutical industry in large numbers poured all over Capitol Hill and participated in this movement to pressure, coerce, cajole, and encourage members to vote in favor of the bill. And in the end, they produced a bill that passed.
Now, one other issue with that, other than the way it was passed, and that is two other issues actually, but one in particular, what was the estimated cost of this bill when it was being talked about?
Well, it was in the $200 billion category.
For 10 years.
For 10 years, and the administration was pushing that as the price of the bill. But in point of fact, the Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services, the actuary there, a man named Foster, was asked by the Bush administration to crunch the numbers, and he came up with a figure that was double that. And that figure, Thomas Scully, who is the head of the Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services, indicated that the Bush administration would not allow that information to be communicated to Congress. There was a Representative Thomas who asked for the information, and it was denied him. And the reason was that Foster was basically told, you're out of here if you tell them the real figure.
So basically, as a government bureaucrat, again, don't tell the truth or else you will pay the price for it. The American public was sold a bill of goods, which was a bunch of money, but it was a whole bunch more than that. And when David Walker, who's been on this program before, we interviewed him last year, said that this could bankrupt America. We have a law that was passed 5 years ago. And by the way, 5 years ago, the unfunded liabilities for Medicare Part D are already in the tens of trillions of dollars for a bill that was passed 5 years ago. The conservative Bush administration. Would that be fair?
Absolutely.
And as an epilogue to this, Mr. Billy Tausend for doing all, and by the way, we tried to get him here, but he was at the inauguration tonight. I think hopefully he would have shown up. Mr. Billy Tausend is now doing what?
Well, after he was the point man for the Bush administration on this bill, short time thereafter, comparatively speaking, he resigns from Congress and immediately takes the position of being the head of the Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers Association, the largest drug lobby, and he's paid a whopping $2.5 million annual salary for his efforts.
Not a bad ROI if I'm spending money for pharmaceuticals. Dr. Simone, you've heard this story. You've heard this story before. Give us your take on it.
Well, you know, I'm sorry. It boils down to a few things. Let's talk about the issue of cholesterol. Do we really need to treat as many people as we have treated now with cholesterol? About 20 years ago, the normal cholesterol in this country was 240. Those data are coming from the Framingham studies, a city outside of Boston, but it's a very celebrated study called the Framingham study. They showed that with a 240 cholesterol and no other risk factors, no smoking, no alcohol, and not a sedentary lifestyle, the patient does pretty well and lives about the same length of time that anyone else does. Curiously, when the first statin drug came out, there was a movement in the PR realm, not the medical realm, but the PR realm, to lower the cholesterol level to about 220. And for the next 8 years or so, the 220 became the so-called norm. Then, miraculously, more statin drugs came out on the marketplace, and now the so-called normal of cholesterol in this country is around 200. There's really no difference in 200 and 240 in a patient who has no obvious risk factors. So the point is, with PR, with the pharmaceutical companies paying PR firms to make the normal drop down to 200, you have to prescribe more medications.
All right, let me stop you right there because we're out of time for part one. On part two, we'll start with PR. Jonathan, thank you for being here. Dr. Simone, thank you for being here, because we will talk about PR and the amount of money spent by drug companies on marketing. You know, we have lots more to talk about on part two, so please tune in next week when we will continue talking about things that matter with people who care.
A video or DVD of this program is available for $20, plus $5 postage and handling, and in Texas, applicable tax. Visit the McQuestion website at frtv.org or call us at 214-442-1600 for upcoming programs. Production of McQuestion is made possible in part by individual viewers. Supporters of the Foundation for Responsible Television. The Hatton W. Sumner's Foundation for the Study of Teaching and Self-Government. Hillcrest Foundation, founded by Mrs. W. W. Caruth. And Collin County Business Press, locally relevant, personally profitable.